Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Whoop, whoop.
Hello, everybody.
Another week. Welcome.
Another day, another week.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good.
Good. How's Betty getting back at school?
She's good. It's been so cold lately, but she's just chugging along.
I remember
acting like a 8th grader when she's only in 4th grade.
She is too cool for school.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
Yeah, something. She's something. She's
a darling.
She is a very high-spirited,
Precocious.
Yeah, precocious.
Yeah.
That's a great
She was
word.
upstairs today. You know, we had today off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
MLK.
Yeah.
Did y'all watch the inauguration?
No.
I didn't either. Did you, Tom?
Hell no. I wouldn't have watched it if it was even for the guy that I wanted or lady that I wanted. But it just, who cares about that? Really?
I think a lot of people care about it.
Well, unfortunately, yes. But the whole pomp and circumstance of a guy getting sworn in is just not that important to me.
Well, I thought I saw somewhere that Trump said they're renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Yes, that was
real?
the same week
Yes.
that he said we should buy Greenland too. So really, how can you take him seriously? And if they're going to call it anything, they should call it the Gulf of Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
The Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Instead of the Gulf of Mexico.
Can we do that? Are we allowed to change the names?
Well,
of
you and
bodies of
I
water?
aren't, but I guess the president can.
I mean, is that allowed though? Shouldn't that be like a
I don't know.
United Nations conversation?
I don't know that the United Nations cares about what that area is called,
Yeah,
but it probably does impact Mexico.
It would be really hypocritical considering that the conservatives get really upset with liberals for renaming schools and then him to go rename the Gulf of Mexico.
It's actually really true, Tom.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay, we don't need to talk about
Okay,
politics.
no.
I'm getting itchy.
Okay.
Okay, today we are going to talk about how to deal with someone that you care about that has a problem that they don't see. Yeesh. I don't know that I want to
It's
have
a little
those
scary.
Yeah, that's
Be on your tippy toes.
yeah. This is probably something you want to do carefully.
Very, I think.
Yes. So, Tom found this article. So, do you want to start by reading the top, Tom?
Sure.
Especially
This is
'cause
kind
you're-
of, I think this is like a
Intro.
fictional scenario that sort of helps drive these points home.
Okay.
So it says here, Kate's best friend at work is Simone,
Okay.
and she's worried about her. At the last staff meeting, Simone made some comments that seemed inappropriate and out of context to the discussion. Knowing Simone's history, she's wondering if Simone was high on something.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
She went there.
Yeah. Okay, so now also different person, Carly noticed that her husband, Jack, had been racking up a lot of purchases on the credit card. And she knows he has a history of impulsive buying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are the two scenarios. If you care about someone, you naturally worry about them. You worry about your sister who's been drinking too much, your best friend who's engaging in unsafe sex or hanging out with the wrong crowd, your father who has a chronic cough but refuses to go to the doctor. You're worried and frustrated. When you've tried to bring it up, they either deny what you're saying, that's not true, minimize what's happening, it was one time, or simply cutting off the conversation. I don't want to talk about this. Conversations like these have two built-in challenges. The first, at this starting point, your concern is your problem, not theirs. And second, when you bring it up, they feel criticized or micromanaged and become defensive. Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells? Well, here are 6 suggestions that may help.
All righty.
Okay.
Here we go.
That whole thing kind of made me nervous.
Me too. I'm like stressed.
I'm like, can you mind your own business?
I think that should be the answer.
I do too.
I mean, unless it's somebody who's like lighting themselves on fire in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, or like
I
it's
can't
your
imagine
child.
saying to one of my friends, I'm concerned because I think you drink too much.
I would only say that if literally they were like lighting themselves on fire in front of me.
Yeah.
Like if they were being destructive or they were hurting their children because of it. Or I mean, and even then, I mean, whew,
Yeah.
this is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
This is a slippery slope.
Slippery slope.
Okay, so how about you tackle number one, Janice?
Okay, number one, talk about and own your worry. The key starting point is acknowledging that this is your worry, not necessarily theirs. Here's something that's been worrying me for a while. If you start by saying, I think you have a problem, the other person will reflexively become defensive.
Yes.
Very true.
Yep.
Yes. So if it's your own worry, hey, I'm worried about something, or I don't know, I'd be so careful around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it were one of my children or grandchildren or something that I really was worried that they, could hurt them, so I don't know.
Yeah. And I know because of the way you are, it would take a lot because you're smart and you stay out of people's business. Mm-hmm. But this would be tricky to do well.
It would be really tricky. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to take number two, Tom?
Yes, no problem. So from those things we talked about earlier, Kate and the staff meeting and Jack and his credit card statement, or your sister may have been drunk at the family party. Or maybe your friend told you last week that she's afraid because she might yet again be pregnant. Okay, so what you want to do is stick to the facts. You want to talk about behaviors, not your assumed underlying motivations. So you basically would want to say that Simone is addicted, that Jack is depressed, that your friend is still struggling with her divorce, or your father has always had some phobia about doctors. You can sidestep getting in the weeds of whose reality is right. Mm-hmm. So basically talk about behaviors and don't jump to the conclusion that these things have happened. You can basically, like what you said, you would talk about your fear first and let them know that it's something you've been thinking about rather than just accusing them and jumping right into an accusation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about behaviors and not your assumed underlying motivations.
Yeah, and I think that jumping to conclusions based on somebody's behavior, like making a conclusion versus discussing it with them, I think is really important.
Yeah, and I think if you were really worried about somebody, let's say drinking way too much, I would be very careful about how I approached that with them, because people get very defensive if it's not. I mean, if somebody came to me and we were talking about it, I would talk about it then, but the whole thing about, let me sit down with you, Tova, and talk to you about something that you're doing that I think is going to be hurtful. Mm-hmm. Don't do that with me, will you?
Don't worry. I mean that I can really only imagine doing that with, like, I don't know who. My children, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. If one of my children was, or like if Craig was like passing out every night on the couch and it was affecting
for sure
our relationship or his ability to go to work, then I would have a conversation. But this is a slippery slope.
Very slippery.
And there's only like a couple of people I would want to sit me down and have that conversation. I mean, if you
exactly
turn it,
yes.
And I think it's really important. Like if somebody saw me wasted and they drew a conclusion that now I'm a drunk.
Yeah.
Like we can make big assumptions about people.
Yeah.
And sometimes people's behavior is not who they are.
Right.
It's just what they did.
Yeah. What if it was your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really not everybody's business.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe family members, but I don't. I just
Yeah,
think
I
it's.
think it's family.
I just don't think it's. I think it. I think it's important to mind your own business.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
What if you knew I don't know anybody. This is not happening
Yeah.
in my world, but I'm just what you're saying. What if you found out one of your very best friends was cheating on their husband? Would you have a conversation with him?
Probably not.
You just stay out of it.
I'd stay out of it.
What if you found out one of your best friend's husbands was cheating on
her?
Yeah, on her.
I'd probably stay out of it still.
Yeah.
I probably just wouldn't even get in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. Unless I'd have to have seen them naked together.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if I'd do it then.
Yeah.
I just have this kind of belief that people will know what they need to know when they need to know it, and I don't need to be sounding the trumpet.
Yeah.
Calling everybody out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I'm glad that's never happened.
Don't be acting the fool.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to make that choice.
I know.
Okay, are we on
3?
We're on
3.
3. Okay. Avoid using the words you and should. Anytime you say you, you're pointing your finger at the other person. Saying should sounds like a command that usually triggers a lot of psychological baggage. Instead, use I and use words that convey soft emotions like worry and concern rather than hard emotions like anger and frustration.
Yep.
Totally agree with this.
I totally agree with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to approach someone about something that they can't see, you got to put on some real kid gloves.
And, one of the things that I will suggest that people do sometime is maybe you ask for permission. Maybe you go to if you're going to go to somebody and say, hey, there's something that I really kind of want to bring up, but I want to make sure that I have your permission for me to talk about that with you. Mm-hmm. And if they say, no, thanks.
Yep.
Then I'd be like, okay.
Yep.
You know?
I love how you always, that's not the first time you said this. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just phenomenal advice.
Yeah.
Even with your children, even with your adult children.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You've taught me that. Okay. You want to tackle 4?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. So this was referencing back to those scenarios from above, where Kate was concerned about Simone's drug problem and Carly was concerned about Jack's spending. Rather than Kate harping on her worry about Simone's substance abuse, she ties her concern to Simone's desire to be promoted. So the lesson is to tie your problem to theirs and focus on the ends, not the means. So a good way would be for Kate to mention that she's got this promotion coming up and that she should really focus on that, maybe instead of just saying, hey, you were high as hell at that meeting. Or
you were high as hell at that meeting.
Yeah. Carly might say to Jack, hey, we want to buy a house. Don't forget that. Let's rake it. Let's get this spending kind of under wraps because we've got this end goal of buying a house. And you can basically tie your problem to theirs so that it's almost like you're on their team when you're coming to them.
And I think that, if there was something that I was concerned about with Tom or something, I mean, if it's with your partner or your husband or your wife or whomever, and if it were my adult children, I think if I were really, really concerned about something, I would, first of all, I'd say, I'm concerned about something. Are you willing to hear it? Mm. And if they say yes, then I would bring it up. But yeah.
You don't want to sweep your bigger concerns under the rug, obviously, but as a starting point, you could focus on what might motivate them.
Yeah.
And that's their problems that they might have, their scenarios, rather than yours. Stay focused on the ends and not the means, rather than pushing Simone, Jack, or your friend or your dad to get into therapy, which was one that we read about up there. Make sure that they hear your biggest concern.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
I think that's your motivation, but I also think that you kind of have to let go of the outcome. Like if you're
Absolutely,
if you're going
Tova.
to approach someone and they react or respond poorly, you kind of have to let that go and just trust that hopefully you did it the best way you knew how.
Yeah.
And
then they can do with it what they want. They
with
can say thank you or screw
they-
you
yep.
or
Yep.
and throw it in the trash and not ever think about it again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but you really have to be prepared to let
Yeah.
go of the outcome
Yeah, you really do.
because they may not take it well.
That's right.
But if they do get defensive,
Yeah.
number 5 can help you deal with that.
Go ahead, Janice. You read 5.
Well, now I can't find it.
I have it, so I'll read it, and then you can do 6. Despite your noble efforts to do it right, they can become emotionally triggered. This may be time for first aid. The topic is no longer on the table. The problem now is the emotion. Though you tend to push harder with your arguments or talk louder, don't. Instead, ask in a calm voice why they are upset. Then let them vent, apologize if you sounded too critical or scolding or violated the boundaries of the relationship. This is not about giving up, but simply fixing the emotional problem in the room. You can always circle back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why my phone does that. If somebody calls me, I hear my voicemail go. Sorry about that.
I just couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
so
who
sorry.
it was. No, I don't care.
So if you approach someone, you said, I'd like to talk to you about something. Are you willing to hear my feedback? They say yes, and they get pissed and they get defensive and they're angry at you. How do you deal with that?
Then I would say, you know what? I can tell that you're really angry about this, and my intentions were not to hurt you or make you feel angry or anything. But now we'll just leave it alone. I'd leave it alone. You know.
I mean, what can you do?
I mean, I just don't. Yeah, I think that I just think that there are people who love to get in the business of everybody else, and one of the things I've said, this is just probably people are going to be so appalled at me, but I always say, if you're not paying me, I'm not getting in it.
That's brilliant.
Love that.
I mean, I wish I had thought of that a long time ago to stay out of all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, now I just try to stay out of all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn quickly.
Yeah.
Just stay out of all of it.
Yeah.
So true. If you're
Yeah.
not paying me, I'm not getting into it.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm going up on my fees.
Because you deserve it. Okay, number 6. You want to tackle that first, Janice?
Yeah. Listen and ask how to help. You've done your best to get your concerns on the table. You circle back. The next steps are theirs. They say they appreciate what you said. They squabble over facts. They get angry or change topics as though you never even said anything. Whatever the response, your response is just to listen and see what unfolds. Their reactions will tell you the next steps. Leave them alone, offer to help, avoid as best you can, and not argue over facts. If their reaction is positive, thank them for listening and ask how you can help. And if they are angry, if their reaction is negative, apologize for unintentionally hurting their feelings and underscore once again your concern. Leave them alone to process. Check in after a few days again with a quick apology, but with a desire to move forward. Offering the olive branch is about repairing the relationship and needs to happen before you decide to push on them with your worry or not. The goal is knowing that the goal is knowing what's the best you can do and making the effort. The reality check is that you can only control what you can control.
Yep. I mean, I think that's just a great summary.
Yeah, it really is.
It's kind of funny, too, because believe it or not, I've already got ideas for what we can talk about the next week.
What is it?
What is
Tell
And
us.
this last sentence of this article basically kind of teased it. It's a perfect teaser, but I got a great book for Christmas from my brother-in-law about Stoicism and the theories and philosophies of Stoicism. And it is all about controlling what you can control and letting go of the things that you can't.
Yeah.
And almost treating them like ignoring the things that you can't control.
Yeah. I'm a big
And
fan of that.
I feel like this kind of leads us into that topic. So maybe I'll do some prep for the next week, couple weeks, because I know we're going to be recording a couple more, and so maybe we'll talk about Stoicism because it's really fascinating stuff.
I love the theories.
It's
of
like
Stoicism.
I really do too.
It was like these guys. There's been people that have talked about this like thousands of years ago.
Have you ever engaged in or read the Daily Stoic?
That's the book that I got.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I've read some of the sayings.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'll definitely prep us for a couple episodes of that. 'Cause
Okay.
it's fascinating stuff.
I love the Daily Stoic. It's a gift that I give to a lot of men, too.
Yeah.
Not a lot of men, but all my men. But I've given it to
Uh-oh,
a
Craig.
couple of, I gave it to Craig when we first started dating because I just really love the philosophy behind it.
Yeah, me too. I'm finding that I am way into it.
That's cool. But it really does speak to men. One of my best friend's husbands gave it to me years ago, and I just loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, way to go, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a really good one because, you know, our words are really important. How we say things, how we talk to people who we think need our help, you know, is really important. You got to do it well, and you got to do it with a lot of love and concern versus that judgment, critical piece that they're undoubtedly going to hear because it's going to be one of those tough conversations. But doing it well is really important.
Yeah. I think so
Because you don't
too.
want to damage your relationships.
No.
It's
No.
not worth it. And
Yeah.
I kind of like your idea, like just kind of stay out of it.
Yeah. I do that a lot.
There's
Yeah.
no money in it.
Yeah.
Get out of it.
No money's there, I'm gone.
Exactly. That should be our goal. That's our one. If you're not making money, keep your mouth shut. Well, we hope this helps you guys, and we hope you have an amazing week.
Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening.